was racist. New documents reveal then-candidate Donald Trump was involved in phone calls with aides who were trying to keep Stormy Daniels from going public with her claims of an alleged affair. The release of the documents come as federal prosecutors have ended their investigation into whether the president and his allies violated campaign finance laws. And as of now, it appears the president's former attorney, Michael Cohen, will be the only one to have been charged in the case. You will recall Cohen pleaded guilty to paying two women to stay quiet about their alleged sexual encounters with Mr. Trump prior to the 2016 election. Cohen has said Mr. Trump directed him to make those payments. Today, a judge ordered documents related to those payments to be released because of the issue being, quote, of national importance. So let's bring in CBS News White House correspondent Paula Reid from the White House and CBS News legal analyst Rikki Klieman, who is here with me on set. Paula, let me start with you. What more did we learn from these documents?
Tanya, this document unsealing was a lot more newsy than I anticipated. I've been covering this case for a while, and what we learned from these documents is really the extent of the president's direct involvement in trying to quash stories about alleged affairs. Initially, the president had denied any knowledge of these hush money payments, denied these affairs, but over time, through testimony and documents, it has become apparent that he was involved. But in these documents, we learned just how extensive his involvement was. For example, on October 8th, these documents reveal a phone call between the president, Michael Cohen, and Hope Hicks, who at the time was the campaign press secretary. And prosecutors believe this phone call was to discuss quashing reports of an alleged affair with former adult film star Stormy Daniels. And throughout these documents, you really get a sense of how concerned the president and his inner circle were about these stories in the days leading up to the election.
Fascinating stuff, Paula. And as eye-raising as these documents are, the investigation, interestingly, is now closed. So is the White House treating this as a win?
A small W win? Yes, absolutely. In a statement, the president's attorney, Jay Sekulow, again, he doesn't work for the White House, but he does represent the president in various legal matters, said that they are pleased the investigation surrounding these, quote, ridiculous campaign finance allegations is now closed. But prosecutors did not confirm that no one else will be charged. But Tanya, we can imply from some footnotes in these documents that it does appear that no one else will be charged. It's unlikely they would have unsealed all these documents if they were going to charge someone. If someone is going to be charged, a lot of these details would have come out in the charging documents. But what's so interesting is Michael Cohen's lawyer, he's demanding to know why his client was the only person charged in this case. Now, intelligent minds can disagree about whether the Trump organization individuals there should have been implicated or should have been charged. But I think when it comes to the publisher of the National Enquirer, there are some legitimate questions about why that corporation and its former chairman, why those two were able to plead guilty and not do any jail time, while Michael Cohen, for the same crime, the same exact scheme, he is spending several years in prison.
It does seem to be a little baffling. So, Rikki, let me turn to you because as Paula Reid just indicated there, Michael Cohen did release a statement to this when he heard this news, saying in part, the conclusion of the investigation exonerating the Trump organization's role should be of great concern to the American people and investigated by Congress and the Department of Justice. So, Rikki, based on what we know, which of course is limited because we don't know the prosecution's reasoning here, what do you make of their decision to close the case without making any further indictments?
I'm surprised, frankly. As we know, the Southern District of New York, as we lawyers say, is the most powerful law firm in the country. They are known for fundamental fairness. They are also very, very tough. So what is a surprise here, because you were looking at so many grants of immunity in order to come forth with this capital I information, which is a different way of charging someone from an indictment, but it comes down to the same thing, is that you had the treasurer of the Trump organization, you had David Pecker from the National Enquirer, American media. You had people who were immunized or people who were not going to be prosecuted, and it all seemed to go directly at Michael Cohen. The Trump organization, in terms of executing checks, which were involved in some of these payouts or in reimbursement for these payouts, seems to just walk away. Also, Hope Hicks.
Right, I was going to say the documents seem to indicate that Hope Hicks may not have been entirely honest with the FBI, if the documents are correct.
Indeed. And so certainly she could have made a mistake when she testified about the timing of certain phone calls and other communications. But it does seem that, as opposed to Mr. Sekulow saying, this is ridiculous concerning President Trump and it's all over. Well, the reality is, as Paula has just pointed out, with the degree of involvement and the suspicious timing of the involvement. Access Hollywood tapes come out on October 7th. The phone calls start and they become fast and furious after October 8th. This was all done, it appears, to affect the 2016 election and to quiet down these women in order to not have a scandal that the investigation ends and Michael Cohen is the only one to go away.
So if you have to speculate, if you are the prosecution and you do not bring any charges against the president, is that simply because you cannot indict a sitting president?
Well, certainly there was no charge that was going to be brought against Donald Trump, but not because he was not named. He is individual number one. He is said in the information, capital I,
that's right,
that he directed Michael Cohen. So the only reason for no indictment of the person who directed the action is because he is a sitting president.
All right, Rikki Klieman, stand by. Paula Reid, we